Do you hope for a white Christmas?
I love white Christmas. Well, yeah, I'd love one.
How did I know that? I bet you're waiting by your window on Christmas Eve
Yeah, every
for
morning.
the snow.
Well, I check my stocking first, and then I go to the window to see if it snowed.
Where do you think stockings come from?
Stocking?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But do you ever think
where does the tradition come from? I don't know.
well, why do we do it then? Don't you ever think, oh my gosh, Christmas, tree, stockings, snow, like why do we care? Why is it a big thing? Why do we do it?
I hadn't until now.
Right, I've had an idea.
Okay.
Why don't we go and find out about some of these things?
The traditions.
Yeah, so like why are Christmas trees? Why are stockings?
Okay.
I don't know, what would you find out about?
Why, who's Santa? What's that guy about?
Exactly. Like, I've had enough of just doing stuff for the sake of it. Let's actually find the reason for why we do all these things.
Okay. Where do we start?
Christmas trees?
You're the one with all the contacts. You must be able to pull in someone who knows about Christmas trees.
Put in someone who knows about Christmas trees. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, flick through my contacts. Wherever it stops, I'm going to call that person and ask them about a Christmas tree.
Okay. I reckon we're going to have to take a bit of time, gather our thoughts.
Why don't we start with a cup of tea, though?
Yes. Allow me.
Cheers, mate. 2 sugars, please.
Really? 2 sugars?
Right, yes, darling.
I'm Guvna B. I'm a rapper, author, and broadcaster, and I'm going on a journey to discover the real meaning behind Christmas. Whether it's stockings hanging by the fire, presents under the tree, or kids acting out the nativity at schools up and down the country, I want to find out the truth behind the traditions. I'm taking my mate Josh, and we're going to have loads of fun on the way as we uncover the reason for the season and ask, why Christmas? We're starting our journey at Pine and Needles Distribution Centre in North London. Every year, thousands of Christmas trees arrive here to be cut, packaged and sent out to shops all across Greater London.
Have you got your Christmas tree yet?
No. We got one in our house, but it's not real.
Yep. Oh, yes. Don't know. Mine's not real either.
Is it not?
Yeah, Argos, man. I've had it for about 5 years.
My family house has a real Christmas tree every year. We haven't got that yet. But in the house that I'm living in right now with some friends, it's a fake one.
Oh, sorry about that, man.
It's all good.
Is that quite challenging?
What, not being home for Christmas?
No, just not having a real Christmas tree.
You tell me, you've lived in it for 5 years.
And whereabouts do your family get their real Christmas tree from?
Tesco, I think.
What, you can get real Christmas trees from Tesco's?
Yeah, I think so. I had a friend get one from Lidl the other day.
Bet they're not as good as these ones, though.
No. Well, maybe these are the ones that end up in Tesco, I don't know.
Yeah, but they've got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Why don't we...
It's true.
Why don't we go find out?
We're meeting Paddy, the regional manager at Pine and Needles, to find out a bit more about the journey each tree goes on to end up in our living rooms.
Obviously, I've had trees all my life at Christmas. My family have had them, but I only think about the tree that I see right in front of me. I never think about the process.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what the harvesting process actually takes. How early on do you start?
We always try and explain to everyone how much work goes in behind the scenes for many years with the trees. A tree, a 6 foot, typically can take between 6 and 10 years. It's about 1.5 years to reach maturity.
I'm about 6 foot. How about 2 foot?
Yeah, so it should be that we really will be working on the trees for years, but we have a huge influx of people working up north, usually earlier in the year. They start pruning, looking after the trees, making sure they're looking good, start tagging all the trees with their sizes, and then progressively as we go through the summer and then into the winter, we start harvesting, and we've got to get them all down here, which is a nice big operation in itself. Once they get to us in our operations yard, we then get them out.
There's huge conversation right now about how we can make the world a more sustainable place to live in. How do you go about doing that in your own work?
The main thing that we do is we're still acquiring land, and we plant 2 trees for every tree that we cut down.
Oh, wow.
Then we also try to make sure all of the tree waste is used in a sustainable way. So as much as we can do with our removals teams and collections teams to then chip all the trees, we either use it for biofuel, And also, actually, I personally have taken some chippings to London Zoo, which was lovely.
Serious?
So we use them for various different places if we can, and try to make sure they go to the right place rather than just being dumped somewhere.
If people don't recycle trees, where do they end up?
Landfill, typically, yeah, landfill. Although councils will pick up your trees from outside your homes, hence why you see everyone's trees scattered at the end of December. Buy fresh, even if you're not going to buy from us, buy fresh trees, man. So much nicer.
Okay, I feel guilty now because we've had an Argos one for about 4 years.
Sadness. It's going to make me cry, man.
Why do we even have Christmas trees in our living room anyway? Where does that come from?
Well, that might be a question for someone maybe a bit more experienced than myself. So
Okay.
perhaps you've got someone you can talk to about that.
See who we've got lined up.
Appreciate it, mate.
Thank you very
buddy.
much, guys.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you guys.
We've made our way to one of Pine and Needle's outlets in Dulwich to meet Hannah Milne, a vicar from Brighton who's going to tell us a bit more about the tradition behind the trees.
So we spent some time this morning speaking to a guy called Paddy, who helps run this place, amongst many others, and he was telling us about the process of the trees getting from way up in Scotland to here. But my question was why? Like, why do we need Christmas trees?
Very good question. Well, actually, like throughout all ancient history, in cultures across the world, there has been this symbolism around evergreen trees and plants and the fact that they've got long life. So even the ancient Egyptians, the Romans, they would bring in evergreen plants into their home, and it was a kind of reminder in the darker winter months that life was coming, that there was going to be new life coming.
Amazing. So I'm hearing that this is a tradition that's been around for a while. We put trees up in our living room at Christmas, which is a Christian festival.
Yes.
Is there any link to the Christian faith?
Good question. There's this other story of a Protestant reformer from the 16th century, a German theologian called Martin Luther. And the story goes that he was out walking, preparing a sermon one night, walking through the forest, as you do, looking up at the bright night sky and the stars up in the sky. And in that moment, he was reminded of Jesus, the true light, the light of the world, coming to earth at Christmas. And so he got home and wanted to basically recreate that scene for his family. So chopped down a tree, brought it into the house, put candles on it, and you have both things. You've got the light of the world, the candles lit on the tree, and you've got the life of the evergreen. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So you've got both together in this beautiful Christmas scene in 16th century Germany.
That's amazing. So anytime someone says we're losing the true meaning, I'll be like, no, no, no. Historian Hannah told me there is a link
Yes.
back to Martin Luther.
Exactly, and more than that, it reminds me as well, this scripture in the Gospels. It's a famous Christmas reading, you probably know it, but in John 1, it talks about Jesus. It says, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. So you've got life and light. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And so really that is Christmas, isn't it? It's just reminding ourselves through something so simple as a Christmas tree, stringing it with lights. Like, we think it's so insignificant in many ways, but every morning when you flick on the switch and your lights shine brightly into your living room, you just remember Jesus, the light of the world, the life of all mankind.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
No
I actually feel
worries.
like I've learned something. But it's not every day I get to hang out with an historian, so I'd love to ask you a question if that's all right.
Of course.
In what year was the first Christmas tree?
The first Christmas tree ever, 1706.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I was hoping you didn't know that, but you did. You are good, you are. Right, which one are we having? Yeah, 1706. Who would have thought it?
Okay, I made that number up, but
Any tickle your fancy? Oh wait, look. That is slightly different texture to this one. Can you see that?
Colours.
Different colours. So yeah.
What colours do you want?
Fancy it?
I fancy this one.
Alright, cool. Is it alright if we grab this one?
Brand new.
This is his second shift.
Oh wow.
Is it? He's definitely been your most difficult customer, hasn't he? Right, is there any way we can put Josh through this thing and you can wrap him up?
Perhaps.
Perhaps?
Yeah.
And I'll deliver it to like... And then what, just rip it? Oh, you were joking? Oh, yeah, we're doing all right.
Are we?
Yeah.
Bruv, I can't feel my head. This is how they must feel. It's awful for them.
See you later, Raiden. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aidan.
Thank you, William. Thank you so much.
Well, he's a great employee. Don't fire him. I'll put him in there. Fire me.
We've got our tree, but we reckon we need some presents to put under it. I'm taking Josh to meet Santa, and although he might pretend to be too grown up for this, he's actually just nervous about finding out if he's on the naughty list.
Hey, Josh, I think I recognise you. You've grown up a bit, haven't you?
He has. My friend Josh, we've been filming all year, and he's been a great boy, lovely lad. So I thought I'd bring him over to you, because he's been a good little boy. Josh, do you want to carefully have a little perch on Santa's lap, okay?
We usually only do this for small children, but I guess I can still
What are you
manage.
saying about me?
Oh, look at my baby! You look so cute. So Santa, just before you ask Josh what he wants for Christmas, Josh only cares about presents. What else could he learn from Christmas?
I'm sure he doesn't only care. We all like receiving presents, don't we? It tells us we're special. It tells us that the person that's giving it is thought about it. But sometimes it's just simple things like spending time with family and friends, going out to special places, having those little traditions that our family just does ourselves, and they're all important. So have you got any ideas what you fancy for Christmas?
Me, I haven't really got a list. I don't really do lists. I like to be surprised. Yeah, something
that's
expensive.
lovely.
Sorry.
And with Christmas, we know that as much as it is about receiving presents, it's also about giving. And we get to come and see you here today. But tell us a bit about this space and how we help people in the community.
I think that's right. So often people will say they actually enjoy giving presents. Seeing a smile on somebody else's face is so important. And here we are at a special grotto set up for the Greenwich and Bexley Hospice. And people are coming here so that they can have some fun, they can enjoy and celebrate, but also support a really good cause in their community.
That's amazing. Santa, I actually really like you. You're a good guy, you know. Just before we go, have you thought about what you would like for
I wondered
Christmas?
if you could help Liverpool win the Premier League this year and West Ham not. That'd be wonderful.
He's not Jesus.
Wow. That's yes.
Santa, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you both. Isaac, you carry on being a good young man.
I'll try my best.
Josh, it's lovely to see you again. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Goodbye.
Andrew, bye.
And a very Merry Christmas.
You okay?
We've heard that Santa lives in Italy, so we've made the journey to a town called Bari, where there are rumours that we can meet the man himself. Clearly Josh heard we were headed to Italy and whipped out the summer wardrobe.
Excuse me, do you know where Santa lives?
Santa lives?
Yeah, Santa, Father Christmas.
I don't know.
I'll show you a picture of him. I took a picture at the cafe shop.
Yeah, Santa.
Does he live here?
Probably yes.
Where? Is it you?
No, you.
Thanks, man.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, see you later.
Do you know where Santa is? Santa. Father Christmas? Santa. St. Nicholas?
Santa Claus. Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yes.
In Bari?
Yes.
Is it where?
Dove stava Santa Claus in Bari?
I don't know.
Santa Claus? Santa Claus?
I don't know.
He's not buried here.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno.
Down
Santa.
here. She'll take us. Gubby, she's taking us.
Ah, great.
Grazie.
Buongiorno.
Nicolaus.
Yes, I'm Nicholas.
Nicholas, yes.
Yeah.
Andiamo a San Nicolo. Andiamo.
Grazie. Thank
Grazie.
you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye, ciao.
See you.
I just so emotional about I thought he was alive, then I thought he was dead. Now he's real again. I don't know what to do with my emotions. I can't believe we're going to meet him.
We're arriving at the Basilica St. Nicola to meet historian and theologian Bishop Graham Tomlin, who can hopefully tell us a bit more about the mind behind the myth. We've asked a few people where we can find Santa Claus, and apparently he's around here somewhere. I was hoping you're the man that could show us exactly where he is.
Yeah, sure. Well, he's in here.
Oh yeah.
He's
Amazing.
in this amazing building.
The actual Santa Claus.
The actual Santa Claus
Wow.
is down in the crypt underneath here.
Oh, amazing.
Do you want to go take a
Don't
look?
get too excited, Josh.
I can't wait. Let's do it. Let's have a look.
All right, let's go in. The story of this church is that Nicholas, of course, he lived most of his life in this place called Myra in what's now southern Turkey. He was a bishop there, and when he died in 343, his bones basically rested there for about 750 years. And so this group of sailors from Bari, 62 of them, kind of set sail, and they went to the tomb of St. Nicholas. And as soon as they got in, they kind of looked around, and they basically just gathered up all the bones, stole them out of the tomb, put them on their boat, and sailed them back here to Bari. Oh. And so the bones are somehow a connection with Nicholas. They're sort of holy objects, as it were. And so that's why they were so important in the Middle Ages.
That's amazing. I really sincerely hope you live a long life. But when you do pass away, would you like me to steal your bones and place them anywhere?
Don't you worry about my bones.
What's this picture here about?
There's a story about a sort of a nobleman who fell on hard times, and what you would often do is you'd try and borrow money to get back into business, and so he borrowed a lot of money, and the loan sharks were pretty fierce at that time, and if you couldn't pay back your loan, you got into trouble. And so he had 3 daughters, and he thought the only thing I can do to pay off my debts is to sell off my daughters to become slaves, and that probably would have meant selling them into prostitution. So anyway, Nicholas heard about this story, and so he decided to do something about it. A lot of gold coins into a bag, and just as this man was about to sell off his eldest daughter into slavery, chucked a bag of gold into the house. The nobleman picks it up, thinks, oh wonderful, that's a dowry for my daughter, I can marry her off and she'll be safe from slavery. The third time he comes around, the third daughter, he does the same thing, and that time apparently he threw the bag of gold coins into the house, and it falls into a stocking that is hanging over the fire, which is drying. So hence the story of St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, dropping gifts
That's amazing.
stockings over the fireplace.
This place doesn't have much tinsel, Christmas decoration, Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Instead, it's quite a bit chilled and prayerful. What's the significance of that? Right.
And that's why people come here to pray, not to pray to Nicholas, but to pray to Jesus, if you like, through Nicholas.
That's interesting. So they're not praying to him, but they're praying through him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Christmas is such a big thing, whether you're Christian or not. What is it about St. Nicholas that connected so well?
It's kind of interesting. After he died, the stories about him started spreading, and in fact, a lot of the stories we don't know for certain because they were written a little bit of time after he was alive. So you're never quite sure whether they're kind of real in history or not. But there's something about him as a person that you kind of think there's no smoke without fire. If these stories got told, there's something about him that kind of captivated people.
How much of what we celebrate today and the traditions that we hold today relate back to St. Nicholas? Stories like the one you just told about the stockings.
In some ways, St. Nicholas was quite countercultural in saying that children were really valuable. They were made in the image of God. They were loved by God just as much as adults were. And so that whole thing about children, about Christmas being about children and giving gifts to children, that kind of comes from St. Nicholas in the same way that the stocking story does.
Wow. Are you quite happy about that?
I'm relieved to know that Santa Claus comes from a real thing. That's music to my ears. I'm not celebrating something totally random. So we've heard a lot about Santa, and growing up, I heard a lot about Santa, but I was always also told to learn about the true reason behind the season. If you could sum that up in 1 minute, what would you say that is?
Well, the reason we focus on Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, is because he's someone who shows us what Jesus is like, full of generosity, who loves the poor, loves the vulnerable. And so the reason why I think Santa Claus is important and why St. Nicholas is someone we think about at Christmas is because he points to Jesus, who is the real heart of Christmas.
Speaking of extreme generosity, and Bishop Graham, you're not allowed to palm me off with your answer, but what would you like for Christmas?
Yeah, okay. Well, if you can get me Bristol City getting promoted to the Premier League, I'll take that.
As I said earlier.
Can you arrange that for me?
I mean, I do believe in a God that can do everything, but that's pretty hard.
Not even God could do that.
Well, Santa's real then. Huge news. And with that sorted, and with us back in the UK, Josh is heading down to the south coast to see his goddaughter get ready for her nativity.
One day when Mary was alone in her home, an amazing thing happened. A beautiful angel shining brightly appeared and told Mary that he had some great news for her. This was Angel Gabriel, and he told Mary that God had chosen her for a special task. She was to have a child, and he would be the Son of God. He would be called Jesus and would be very important for all mankind.
3 wise men also saw a bright new star in the sky. They knew that a very special baby had been born, and they too set off following the star.
Jude and Mary and the donkey, they can wait. You can go together.
And Angel, will you stay on the way there to shine your light?
Oh, well done, Floz. Enjoy it? Yes. When you put the baby down, not in the cradle, did you?
How old is God?
How old is God? I don't know. How old do you think God is?
No, you had to tell me.
Oh, sorry. Very old. Maybe
Just say it.
200,000 million years old. Is that right?
Yeah, Jesus is special
Why do we celebrate him?
because he's the Son of God.
Wow, that's a great answer.
It's a given that the nativity will make us smile, but we want to find out why kids up and down the country are performing this in schools and churches throughout December. So we're meeting Catherine Message to find out a bit more.
Hey, Kath,
How you doing, man? You alright?
Good nice to see you.
Good, man.
Gubby, Kath is a vicar, and she's directing the nativity that I went to go and see my goddaughter in the other day.
I heard that was really good.
Very good.
Is that something you do every year?
Yeah, pretty much every year. Sometimes, not the traditional nativity, but yeah, always something at Christmas.
And I always thought that kids look crazy cute when they're in nativity, but I've never known why it's actually important for them to do it.
Well, they do look crazy cute, that's for sure. But we do it because there's loads of tradition around Christmas, but the Nativity is an actual celebration of an actual story that happened. Nativity, in case you're interested, comes from the Latin nativitas, meaning birth. There you go. You have that one for free.
So this is an event that we celebrate on the 25th of December, and you're saying that this is a celebration of the birth of Jesus.
That's right.
Does that mean that those two are linked?
Unfortunately, Josh, we don't think Jesus was born on the 25th of December. Yeah, I'm sorry about it. Some people think September.
Yeah. I feel like you need
You're
to
not just
let that
going to
breathe for a
drop that
second.
bomb and move on.
Yeah,
It wasn't born on the 25th.
It wasn't on the 25th. They think maybe the people that do research think maybe more like March, because the shepherds were out in their fields watching their little sheep. But we do know that from the 4th century, it was chosen to be December in line with the Roman winter solstice. So it's kind of like that's why it was chosen as that time to celebrate it. But yeah, probably not his actual real life birthday.
The one thing about the nativity though is it looks so perfect and beautiful, but was the birth perfect and beautiful? Did it look as glorious as the nativity does?
Well, you've been present at a birth.
Yeah.
Would you
Did
say
not
it
look
was
like the
beautiful?
nativity.
No, so obviously the kids look so cute in their outfits, but it was a pretty it's a down-to-earth grisly story. So you've got Mary and Joseph, Mary who's 14, 15, has got pregnant. Then they've got to go to Bethlehem. They're under this Roman rule, and it's you have to go here to register your birth. So it's not where she lives. They probably would have walked most of the way there, and she's really pregnant. And walking there, they get there. There's nowhere to stay, so they get given a stable, or some people think more of a cave. And then, just imagine the smell. There's animals everywhere.
Because when I think of Jesus, I think of glory and a saviour of the world. But the conditions that you're talking about don't really match that.
Yeah, 100%, which is basically like, what does this tell us about Jesus? That he is God personified. He's God with us, and he could have chosen any way of coming into the world, and he chooses to come as a baby. And you know, like, babies are great, but they're kind of useless. You know, they're like, they can't really do much. They're so dependent.
Speak for your own. Speak for your own, mate.
I haven't met yours. Maybe he's incredible, but like, they're so dependent. And then he comes into this, like, the worst start in life on paper. Like, there's no room for him. There's no bed. It's not clean. There's animals there. And that's God. That is the way that God chose to reveal himself to us, which I think is pretty mad and says a lot about Jesus' character and what he then went on to do in his life. Most people do know the story of the nativity, and probably a lot of people just think it's a story. And then some people might think, oh yeah, it did happen. And I guess we don't often stop and think, oh, like, that was real and it was dirty and it was like,
So do you think it's a
human.
good thing that people around the world every Christmas are celebrating this, even if they're not showing the true picture of what the nativity might have looked like?
Yeah, 100%, because it's the main sort of Christian festival. That and Easter, of course, you know, don't want to sideline Easter, but how amazing that people all over the world, even if they don't quite know what they're saying or like the truth and meaning behind it, are like acting out this story that happened 2,000 years ago, which changed the course of humanity.
And is that why it's important for you to keep doing what you're doing every
Yeah,
Christmas?
100%. Plus, I do like putting on an outfit, maybe some lycra, prancing around in front of the stage. It's an opportunity for me to do that. But yeah, the God bit is important.
So you take part in the nativities yourself?
I often do. I'm actually playing the star this year.
The star, yeah, nice.
I feel like I've learned a lot, and I can't wait for Ezra to be in your nativity. Here's £5 under the table. Take that quickly.
I love Christmas, but clearly I knew less about it than I thought I did. I'm encouraged that these traditions have their roots in something meaningful. When I flick on my Christmas tree lights, I can remember that they represent light and life. I feel confident telling my family that Santa is real, and we get to emulate his generosity at this time of year. And with my 2-year-old destined for a starring role in the Nativity, I know that when he steps up to play Joseph, he's acting out the greatest story ever told. That at Christmas, we remember that God came to be near each one of us. But with all that said, the best part of this journey was getting to ask Santa himself for the best gift anyone could hope for. West Ham winning the league. Come on, you Irons.